Larib Essen.
Okra, Darnay. Tebow.
Oh.
Goodness.
Albert Panella.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. And today I created this Milan-inspired neighborhood apartment, restaurant, church, flower shop, bookshop, little bit of everything in it. This was a doozy to create. A lot of my builds take a lot of effort to create. I do a lot of neighborhoods a lot of the times. Still haven't done a mansion. Pending one day, if I ever get like, I don't know, 500,000 subscribers, I'll do a mansion. But that's a long time coming, so I've got my excuse not to do one. But a lot of my builds normally take me like a really long time to do. So this was one of the ones that took me, I won't say it's the longest. It took me, I think the Cyberpunk City is the longest that took me. But the Cyberpunk City, I did it in one sitting and I felt inspired the entire time. And I felt inspired was creating this. But since I was like, it was like a mixture of me just not feeling well during, I like that physically not feeling well during this entire process. I was just not wanting to continue it. Normally when I'm uninspired, I'm uninspired. So I don't feel the energy to continue doing a build because I feel uninspired about the build. It doesn't feel like it's the build. It doesn't feel like it's a really great build out. Builds that I felt generally like just didn't have the same amount of enthusiasm to create before have been the American suburban neighborhood and the Gatsby 1920s inspired apartments and what else I think, and a lot of the houses I've created, like if they're not rentals, if they're just like plain houses, a lot of them I haven't been really that inspired to create either. Well, I've been inspired. I've been inspired enough to go and create them, but I haven't been inspired enough to finish them because they end up just feeling like, I don't know how to describe it. They end up feeling just like this kind of larger than life energy that I just I just don't want to continue it. Like it feels very conceptual and it feels like something that should have remained as a concept. Another thing I can think of that I have actually just never finished and I ended up feeling something like that was I did a like snow globe type of rental place. So during the Christmas season, I wanted to do this place where you can take your Sims and you can go on a little like, do you know those like places where you have a snow, like it's not a snow globe, it's a igloo where you can go and stay in these igloos, but they're all made of glass in like these really snowy areas during the Christmas time, and there is like a really cool experience. I wanted to do something like that, but it was a very conceptual thing because as soon as I started doing the terrain, it was a clear sign that this was not going to be something I was going to follow through on and finish doing. So then when I then continued on and started like shaping out the houses where I wanted them to be, I looked at it and I feel like if I had the energy to continue it, I would have, and it would have turned out so pretty. But I was just like, I'm uninspired. And one thing about me that I've tried my best to enforce when I do create builds is not to build when I am extremely uninspired because at the end of the day, this is a hobby. This is something that's fun for me. I don't want to make it into something I feel like is like a job. So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I'm never gonna touch that again. And I never did touch that again. And I've done it on other things as well, but I can't think of them at the moment. But yeah, I do get the feeling of not doing, like, I don't want to complete it. But the problem is with this particular build, I had already showcased on my community tab that this was something that was going to come out. And it was something that it did take a lot of time for me to do. So I was like, okay, I do have to do it because I've already announced it. I've already showcased it. And even though Valentine's Day was over a week ago, it is something I really wanted to do regarding Valentine's Day. So I just kind of I forced myself to try and finish it. And the thing is, I don't know, I was so grouchy about it because it actually wasn't that much interior design and a lot of effort with it. Because again, the thing that it's never to do, I'll say the thing that I struggle with the most. I've said it before, it's interior design. First and foremost, interior design will always be a struggle of mine when it comes to The Sims. But another thing that I do struggle a lot with is when it's actually like thinking how this house is supposed to look like. In my head, it looks a particular way until I actually start doing the columns and placing the walls, and then I look at it and I'm like, what did I just create? And I was feeling and thinking of what the different things should be. So for example, within this build, I could think of maybe one side. So I knew there was going to be a church, I knew there was going to be a restaurant, I knew there was going to be a cafe, and I knew there was going to be some form of an apartment. But then everything else, I had absolutely no idea what it was going to be. So this particular section you see me do it now, um, I was just looking at it the entire time and I was thinking, what am I doing with myself? Like, I have no idea what this is going to be. Like, I knew this part was going to be the cafe because I knew I wanted to have the cafe on the opposite side. But then everything else, creating the mini bar slash club, creating the bookstore, creating the other apartments, because there was only supposed to be like two or three. All of those things was purely because I couldn't think of what else to do, but I felt like that space had to be filled. Now I look at it in retrospect, I could have just allowed it to be a car park, or I could have allowed it to be a mini playground, or I could have done something and allowed a little bit more light within the area. But I really wanted to do the cluster vibe that is in buildings such as Milan. Speaking of Milan, this is lightly inspired from Milan. So if a lot of people who've been to Milan or are from Milan, or Italians anywhere, and they see this and they're like, this is nothing like Milan. It's lightly inspired because I knew I wanted to have the river going through river. I wanted to have the canal thing going through the middle, but I knew it wasn't the same vibe as Venice. Because when I typed in Venice, I was like, no, this isn't what I particularly want. I wanted closer to looking like a mixture between Venice and Amsterdam. So what I ended up coming up with after I did a bit of research was these images from Milan, and then I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want the fairy lights, I want the bridges, I want the brown toned houses. I mean, I'm always doing brown toned houses. I love, I literally put a dark brown filter at the start of my videos, and all of my thumbnails have some kind of brown filter on it. I really love the shade and warm shades, and specifically brown neutral, not neutral, but brown contrasted shades. Like, think of your early 90s films and stuff and like that. I really love contrast, and really love my browns. So that's what I was thinking in mind when it came to doing this build. So I was like, that's the area I want to go with. I really love fairy lights, and I don't really get a mess with fairy lights all too often. So I was thinking about all of these things, and then I ended up combining them together to create this build. And am I happy with the build? I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if I could tell you if I'm happy with the build, because it's it's something I'm happy that I'm bringing out. I'm very, very happy that I didn't use any custom content, because it was so mentally taxing to create it, that to think if I had to then link custom content, it would have made it 10 times worse. I am happy enough to bring it out. Like I've said before, I've never hated a build that I've then posted. Like, if I do not like the build, I won't post it. Hence the igloos that will remain in the forever trashed folder and stuff like that. I do like this build enough to post it, and I do feel like some people, I also do find that some people will find something to enjoy about this particular build. I feel like a lot of people will find something interesting. I mean, there is so much going on. Like, I think it's been a good hot second since I've done such a multifunctional build. If I look back at all the builds I've done, I don't think I've even done like a proper neighborhood in a long time. Like, I think the last thing I can think of is the new build neighborhood, like the British new build neighborhood, but that's just like houses. It's been a long time since I've done like clothing shops, restaurants, cafes, houses, um churches, or like just so many things you can do on one particular lot, so you can really have your fun and your goal with one thing. The one thing I would say about this particular lot, since it's multifunctional but we're not able to have the multifunctional tool, which is something I was watching Steph for Sims recently, and she did note that something that would have been interesting, and they did go to EA and present this about having multifunctional aspects within a particular lot. So yeah, we've got the beginner stages of it from the 4 rent pack. So we have the ability to make the different rooms for different apartments, which I'm so grateful for and I really do enjoy. But if we have the ability to change the shared spaces into different lot types now, I understand the mechanics of that are even giving me a headache, and I don't even understand coding, let alone what EA, Max's Match, the Sims team are probably thinking if they ever heard me say this, because I can imagine that's going to take a lot of coding and maybe a lot of PCs are not going to be able to handle um such a type of mechanism within the game. I mean, I could imagine that so many people will be showing up to these types of things. But the thing is, all I can think about when I say stuff like this is that we do have it to an extent. Like, yeah, we do have this within the Sims 4 rent, but we do have it. I think is it Little Sam's mods, there is a mod where you can have different lot functions as well as it being residential. So I know that there is a mod that allows you to have a live-in cafe, a live-in bar, a live-in gym, a live-in club, and all of these things are able to do. So I'm not too sure. I haven't messed with the Little Sam's mod on top of residential rentals, but maybe you are able to have a live-in cafe or a live-in bar. I mean, you'll probably have to add it as, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know how the functions of that may work. But I know that you are able to do stuff like that within residentials, but I don't know if you could do that with residential rentals. So yeah, and it's like I'm trying my best not to sniff because I am over this cold slash flu I had, but it's not entirely gone. I don't think it was a flu. I think it was a cold because it was only recently. I think it was in then the last 2 to 3 years that I found that flu is short for influenza, and it was an actual podiment that occurred, because I don't get demonetized, so I'm not going to say the word, but it is a period of history like what we had in 2020. It was a podiment, or I'll say panini because I do watch it at the YouTuber that calls it the panini. Yeah, it was an actual panini, and it was a thing that was really destructive. So it's like it's an actual thing. So I will say, yeah, I think it was like a cold or something like that. But anyway, I digress. You guys don't want to hear about my cold. You guys want to hear about this build. And the many complaints, not complaints, but the many suggestions that I have for The Sims in order to advance the already good build buy system that we have. Because even though I always say suggestions, I think The Sims community should add, I do believe that this is one of the best build buy softwares, mechanisms, graphs, whatever you call them, that we've had in any of the Sims games. I remember that I purely play The Sims for the built-in functions of it and the fact that I can just hop between households so easy. So it's really easy to make a save file. But I remember before I went back and went to The Sims 3. When I went to The Sims 3 and I went to build a house, it was okay. It wasn't horrendous, but it was like it was okay and it wasn't horrendous, but it was just kind of like, wow, I don't really have that much freedom to do things. I've took a lot of things from The Sims 4 for granted, because when I first started playing The Sims 4, I didn't start playing it straight away like a lot of people. I waited until quite a few packs came out. I don't think I started playing The Sims 4 like really playing it until just before Snow Escape came out, I think. Yeah, I think it was just before Snow Escape came out, or Dora is cottage, not cottage core. What is it called? The cottage pack. I know I was there for the announcement for that, but I don't. I think I was just about there for the announcement of Snow Escape. Like, I was kept up to date with what was going on with The Sims 4, but I was just happily playing The Sims 3 because I really loved the storytelling and gaming aspect of The Sims 3. But then I started hearing about things going on with The Sims 4, and I was like, okay, The Sims 4 has developed quite a bit, so I might as well started, because I did download it, I did buy it from initial release, but when I first started to play with it, we all know what the original Sims 4 used to look like. It was not a pretty sight. It was a Blender unrendered, very just not the best thing. And since there wasn't that much content regarding The Sims 4, it wasn't as inspiring to go and play it as it was in The Sims 3. The Sims 3, we had Life Simmer, we had Queen, we had all these other people who did loads of like Let's Plays with this fully developed fully developed game. So we were able to find an interest regarding it. We were able to say that, oh, this is really interesting. I love the way that this is. I love the way that this looks. And we could feel a sense of, oh, okay, I want to play the game. But then when we started to have The Sims 4, we didn't have that yet. We had the main players of The Sims come in and describe what's going on with the game and tell us what's going on with the game. But it wasn't as inspiring to go and play it because we knew that this isn't fully fledged yet and that what we're getting as consumers may be a little bit varied from what maybe established players are getting. And it was just really, and especially established players have a better setup and a better unit. So it was like, oh, I don't even know if I want to play this because my computer may not be able to handle the way that they have it as. Because I remember when I first started playing The Sims 4, I played it on my computer. I have said this story multiple times, so I won't go into it too deeply. But I remember I played it on my computer and I played it with all the graphics on low. There was no lighting. You couldn't even see through the windows. Everything was low. But I found fun in creating my save file. And I really enjoyed that save file if it would load. And one day, if I am able to get a proper gaming setup, I will download that entire save file and just run it on that PC that I do then get, because there was lore. There was so much lore within that game, like so much lore. But yeah, there was like, that's what I remember going on with the Sims 4. So then when I did start playing it, obviously everything wasn't low, and then I heard about mods, so I started adding so many mods into my game. But even then, it just wasn't functioning. I was getting excited and I enjoyed what I did with it, but I was like, I started losing inspiration all over again. So then I was like, how can I find fun within the game again? So I downloaded it on my laptop. And then all the way content creation allowed me to have a bit more fun because it let me explore different types of builds that I wouldn't normally build by myself. Like, I was always a creative builder. But those certain builds, I was like, there's no point. Like, there's no point. I can't be bothered to make this. I'm just going to revamp this or just add this and they'll just look very ugly. But now I can really develop my building skills within The Sims. But then what really pushed it is when I got a G shade, because when I got a G shade, everything looked so pretty. And I was like, okay, I love it now. And look how pretty it looks. And I'm not shading anyone who plays the game without a G shade, because I barely function with a G shade. It's only recently that it's been somewhat okay. But even still, my game is way better. It functions way better without a G shade. It's much smoother without one, but I choose to have one to have a slightly laggy game for the sake of it just looks so pretty with it on, and that's what then furthered my interest within the game. And trust me, that was a fight, an uphill battle. Every single time there's even a slight decrease of interest within the game, I have to go and watch what someone else is doing. Because the one thing I won't do is do challenges, because I don't play The Sims 4 for like aesthetic comfortable gameplay, but I don't play it for challenges either. I play it for the medium. So like I play the game as if I'm watching a soap opera. That's how my mental state is when I'm playing the game. Like, everything is fine, everything is somewhat decent, everything is very mediocre, mundane, but there is a hint of drama here and there. And when the drama does hit, the drama hits. So it won't just be like, oh, Don Lothario is cheating on my sim or something like that. It'll be Don Lothario has started an organization that does not do good things, and it is up to my sim to save the day. But my sim is an anti-hero because in my game there is no such thing as heroes. Everyone is morally gray. And the way that my sim decides to take down Don Lothario's organization isn't the best way either. And there's just so much going on with that in my game. But then when that passes, it's just like, okay, let's go to school. Oh, let's have some oatmeal. Let's do this, let's do that, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's like a good mix between the two, and it allows me to stay entertained. But one thing I would say, and I think one day I'll create a video for anyone who's trying to like get into The Sims again, or just trying to find the passion and love for The Sims. I will one day find some time to make a video, but I just as a quick advice for any. Also, this is me using Tool. I did download Tool because it's faster to do certain things with Tool. I didn't realize how fast. Like for example, to do that chain of fairy lights would have took me so long if I didn't have Tool. So I did get Tool in order to do stuff like that, and I'm really, really happy with it. I don't want to start doing anything too crazy just because I have seen a lot of people say that when you use Tool, a lot of things don't function. So because again, you're using Tool plus move objects on. So sometimes do you know when you like have a plant and you move it slightly or you size it up slightly within your game? When someone else downloads that from the gallery or from tray files, since move objects on may not be enabled on their computer when they initially download it, it will shift just a little bit, but that just a little bit shifting that it does can just end up ruining the entire build and make it unplayable. So I tried not to use it too heavily. I use it where I can and where I feel like it's necessary, such as those fairy lights. But I digress. What I wanted to discuss is that a way, if you want to get inspired to play The Sims, there's a variety of things, and I'll do a whole video on it. But one of the ways that I found out to really get inspired is that it's gonna take work. This is it's a long game with The Sims, but it's gonna take work. I think if you can get a good save file, because I feel like what we have in The Sims is okay, but it's being done, it's over with, it's just, we know what's going on. But if you are able to go onto some kind of medium and find a really good save file and just explore that, I will be creating my save file very, very soon. I'm going to discuss it a little bit because I never got to discuss it in my bond conversion because it was such a short video. But I say find a really good save file and find some really good pre-existing stories. And when I say a good save file, I mean not just pretty houses and pretty lots and pretty Sims. I'm talking about time and effort has been taken into the save files to the point that you can see things in the family tree. So all of the family descriptions are very detailed, and then they actually have jobs. So if you jump into a particular family, they have those jobs. So they have those mechanic jobs, those lawyer jobs, those politician jobs already set for them, already in the correct rankings of per job. And not only that, they are already organized in the family tree. So it's not just like, for example, the Alexander family and the Hamlet family. I know it's Alexander Hamlet, but still. It's not just the Alexander family and the Hamlet family are just described in the bio as being related or former feuds. No, there's like physically, like you can go into the character bio, you can see there's actual distaste for those particular Sims, and there's actual like connection within the family tree of those particular Sims. I've never downloaded a save file, so I'm not sure if those things like save as you download them, but I would imagine they do. But before I ever upload because I'm gonna do different versions, but before I upload my first version of my save file, I will showcase how it functions on my PC and how it's gonna hopefully function on your PC. But yeah, speaking of the save file, wait, hold on, let me finish what I was saying on the save file. On the save file, I think it's really good to have a good save file. Or if you don't want to get a new save file, you have to take a lot of time and effort to really build up your game. The thing is with The Sims is that if you want to have a lot of fun when it comes to gameplay, you really have to build it up first. So you have to take that time and that effort to, you don't have to create the Sims. You don't even need to create the lots, but you need to find the lots. You need to find the Sims, and you need to create the story. So if you have a mayor that is like hated by everyone in the town, you have to get him hated by everyone in the town first. If you have a Sim that likes to get around, you need to make sure that Sim has actually gotten around first. If you want to have a Sim that is literally borderline, everyone's related to them, you need to make sure that sim is connected to the family tree. And then it's only then when you have established these storylines, established your save file, can you have a lot of fun with it. The save files I have a lot of fun with is my baby save file, because I'm always just discovering different things about my sims, because I always forget what I've already established. So for example, my sim, my current family, the oldest sister is training to be an ice skater, and then I can click on her family profile, and then I can go through it, and I allow my sims to do whatever they want when I'm not actively playing them. And go through her family tree, and I can see that, oh, her great uncle has been up to this, her great uncle has been up to that, her grandmother's up to this, oh, her grandfather has passed away. Like all these things that have occurred with these pre-established families that I probably even used to play with as well. So to do these kind of things and enjoy things about the Sims, you really have to just take your time and really, really tailor it to what you want. And because this can be so time consuming, I think there's probably going to be one save file that you really, really love. Hence why I call my baby save file my baby save file, because it is my baby. And then there's going to be other save files that you really do enjoy, but it's not your main save file. And I'll say that is like the celebrity save file, that is like the supernatural save file. These are save files that I have. That's like the British save file. I'll say the British save file is one of the biggest ones, because I really only ever concentrate on the royal family within the British save file, and then everything else I kind of just leave it up to whatever goes on. I just go on it when I want to create a British build, and then I just go off it and then play my baby save file and see what's going on in that. Because the reason why I don't play on the British one that much is because it's still first generation. I'm still playing with the Sims that I first moved in. I'm still messing with them, still trying to establish the family lines, trying to make everyone connected, because so far it feels just like individual households I've placed in the world, but they don't really have relations to each other. So I still need to develop that. Celebrity Safari is so much more decent than that, because people have started to connect. Some people have started getting married, moving into houses. Some people have started to pass away. So it's getting closer to my baby save file. So I feel I've been more encouragement to go and play my celebrity save file compared to my British save file, because I know when I go in, there's gonna be stories, there's gonna be things going on, there's gonna be like, oh, so what's gone on since I've been gone? What is he up to? What is she up to? And stuff like that. And that's something I can get with my baby save file as well. But anyway, I digress. Enough of those save files. Let's talk about the save file that I'm planning to create. So there's been a lot I've been thinking about, because I've been I want to do so many different types of save files, but honestly, save files have to be. I don't think I will ever create in my life a save file that has every single world changed, because that is so mentally taxing. And I feel like not every single world has to be changed. Like for example, if I'm gonna go back to my save files that I already have, my baby save file has a distinctive Australian theme. So with it, I only ever use Oasis Springs. I use the world from we got from Growing Together, and I use I don't know what else. I know I use those words quite heavily, and I've borderline almost like redone those entire words to get that Australian film. So I've got the world we got from I'm forgetting the name. The world we got from Growing Together. I use that as more of the in-city version of this Australian inspired world. So that's where they go. That's where the shopping mall is. That's where like everything like that is. And then with the Oasis Rings, that's where it's mainly like quite residential, and that's where you've got like little town things like an ice cream parlor or something like that. Like that's what's going on in that section. With my celebrity save file, it's all over the place, but it's basically the areas where I think rich Sims would stay at. So I remember that in the Sims 3, we had a place called, was it Hidden Springs? And it was a world that you had to get through the gallery and you had to pay for it. But I remember Hidden Springs was like a world where rich Sims would stay at, because all the houses were just so expensive over there. And that is basically what I tried to create with the celebrity save file. I wanted to have an area where I think oh, this is where celebrity says, this is where I believe that my celebrity seems to stay at. So that's why I picked Strangerville, which I know if you think about it and you're like, why Strangerville? But there is a distinctively rich area that is a gated community within Strangerville. And I just feel like desert homes just peak money in my head. I know that's not the case. I know that it's normally manors or it's like mansions, but I've discussed it in heavy detail how I've never created a mansion and I feel no urge or need to create a mansion. So when I am creating these big celebrity homes, I'm creating them in Strangerville, or I'm creating them really pretty apartments, but I'm not touching a mansion. If I know in my head, if I wanted to really create a really expensive place, it will be Bridleton Bay. But when I do have a few things in Bridleton Bay, I do have a few things in Bridleton Bay. I do have the mid-century house there, and I do have the Georgian-inspired apartments there, all part of Celebrity Safe. I think this build actually is part of my Celebrity Safe as well. I don't know why. But I also did do the CYBERCITY in my celebrity safe, which I really do think about sometimes. And I think, why did I do that? Because that doesn't belong there. I also do think sometimes, why did I also put that Italian inspired neighborhood in my celebrity safe? Because that also doesn't belong here. I don't, those are bills I would have, because I've got another save file called build. And basically what that save file is about is just when I decide to build something that wouldn't belong in any of my other bills, I build it there. So that's where I've got beach apartments. That's where I've got I've got the sub-Saharan African home. I've got the barn home. I've got all those things. So all of those kinds of builds are in that one because I don't believe it can go anywhere on my save file. So it just goes into that one. And technically this one, the Italian one and the cyber one should have gone in that one. And even if you wanted the cyber one, I thought I said Cyberman for a second. And if you really want like be technical about it, I would have put the CyberCity one in the supernatural one because even though CyberCity is not necessarily supernatural, it's more like what's coming rather than something that is debatable whether it exists or not. With CyberCity one, I really should have put it in the supernatural one because that's for the Sims that look quite out of the ordinary. Because the Sims that I placed in the CyberCity one do look quite out of the ordinary. So that's where I should have done it. But yeah, it's too late now. I might remove them at one point, but not right now. Right now, I'm going to focus on this build that I have. So yeah, anyway, I digress about that. Like I was saying before, I wouldn't create. Like I was saying before, I wouldn't. Sorry, I'm taking little breaks. Is that yet? I'm still getting over this cold, so I'm just taking like little breaks. One thing I would say is that I would never redo like the entire world, like every single world. If I was to do a, if I was to do a save file, I'll do certain worlds. Now, in my head, an idea that I have at the moment, and tell me in the comments if you like this idea. And I'm gonna do like a few houses and put them in my backlog before I ever like fully like this is like concept, like this is concept, like I said before. Remember how I said igloo concept? This is concept. I'm not too sure if I'm gonna go for it because I need to like really see how I'm gonna go about it. But an idea that I have going on in my head for a potential save file is called the founding families. So one thing I've always loved about TV shows. Now, here's the thing. In real life, founding families are sketchy. Like they are so sketchy. Like you're telling me your family founded this town. No, they didn't. They probably like stole this town. So like founding families in real life are really sketchy. They hoard a lot of wealth and they just like push capitalism and like class divide and everything like that. The founding families are really sketchy in real life. So I don't agree with what I won't say I won't agree with the founding families because you can't choose to be part of a founding family. But founding families and the whole old money vibe thingy is a fun aesthetic to explore film wise. Series wise, like Gossip Girl, Soul Bed, all of those. These are fun things to think of about and explore and everything like that. But I don't actually agree with like what goes on around them because 9 times out of 10, if someone says that from old money, they're not. It's probably blood money to an extent because there's very few industries back then that you could have established without having done something extremely awful. There's even a few industry you haven't established now that you could have established without having done something awful. Honestly, if you got what I just said, because I don't even get that sentence. Last sentence was really messy. If you got that sentence, well, you got amazing comprehension skills, because if I was listening to myself, I wouldn't have got that. But with founding families and old money, there's normally just like there's a lot of like just odd things surrounding whether how that money was obtained and how it manages to go right now. Like if you go into the histories of a lot of old money families, sometimes it's banks, sometimes it's something else, and that is for you. That's a homework for you to research. But yeah, but even though I have my issues with that in real life, it's The Sims. And The Sims, to an extent, you can really just have whatever you want. So with The Sims, I wanted to do founding families, kind of old money save file. So this is kind of like I really love. Again, I've said before that I'm a media person, so my real life job is media and for like entertainment and all of that. I've always wanted and liked the idea of exploring founding families and the old money aesthetic, and just trying to keep um a slowly falling establishment. Like I think there's some like people like think like Succession, think of Gossip Girl, even think of House of Dragons, like just really big families, very, very, very big families with very, very um messy ways of going about business. So that's what I've always wanted to do. So that's what I was thinking in my head potentially to do for a save file. Because in a save file, I feel like that'll be just so interesting hearing the biographies. And I don't know if I'm going to completely eradicate the entirety of the actual founding families in the game, but I think it'll be kind of good to incorporate them. Like, I don't know how much of actual sim lore I'm going to put within the game, because I know there's actual founding families, like the land grabs and the goths and everything like that. But I do want to put like elements of that within my game. So it'll be like the land grabs were always like this, and they've done this, and they've done this. Like really push into the founding families and how they connect with everyone else. So the wells that I can think of that I would potentially utilize for this is Brennerton Bay. I feel the founding family owned money in Brennerton Bay. I feel like I'm gonna use Copperdale just because of the high school, and I feel like founding families, high school, the teen drama that can surround that would be crazy. I can think of Willow Creek. I can think of forgetting any and every single world. I can think of maybe potentially Solani as like vacation area. Like that's like think of White Lotus. Like that's where the rich kids go for vacation, and that's where the rich areas are. And yeah, that's that. Like again, concept is concept, because I never realized how heavy a save file is gonna be. But yeah. Um, all the details regarding this build will be in the details below. I feel like, surprisingly, I still have more to say, but yeah, all the details regarding this will be in the details below. My gallery name is the same as my YouTube name, and yeah, I really hope you guys like this build. I really want to know what you guys think of this, because I have some mixed feelings about this build. But yeah, and I hope you guys had a really great Valentine's Day. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But if you don't want to, that's also okay. I appreciate you staying this long and listening to all of my ramblings. Also don't forget to leave a comment down below. I read all of your comments. The more the merrier. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.